whereas people who can open their mouths will bring a lot more harvest.
Oh my gosh.
Hey, in this episode, we are joined by Christy of Our Crazy Adventure, my wife, and we're talking about Gordon B. Hinckley, Chapter 21, The Latter-day Miracle of Missionary Work, talking about, why should we send our kids on a mission? Why is that important to them? Why we should serve missions now as we go out and meet people, and ways for us to reach out with love and kindness to help spread the gospel and help spread the joy that we find in living the gospel. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Third Hour of Power. This is Grady of This Mormon Life, and this week I am joined with Christy of Our Crazy Adventure to talk about missionary work. How's it going, honey?
It is going lovely. The children are all in bed, and we're really excited about that.
I don't think they're all in bed. I hear rustling up there.
That's because one of our sons has been banished from his room, and he's sleeping in the loft.
Oh, is he in the loft tonight?
He wants to, yeah.
Hard consequences, guys. That's how we run things here. Well, we're talking about missionary work tonight. Chapter 21 from the Gordon B. Hinckley Manual, and I'm loving the way the lessons are starting to line up. They always have a great way of lining up, and the next three lessons in our previous lesson, I didn't even notice it last time, really line up well, because last lesson, lesson 20, was on reaching out to those who are not of our faith. And now we're talking about missionary work as we build inroads in our community and our kind and good neighbors. People are going to want to know about our faith. And tonight we're going to be talking about how we can be better about inviting other people to learn more about it.
So Gordon Hinckley, great example of being a missionary. We all remember the story of him as a missionary having a hard time. He talks about how he was a little bit selfish and how he got to work and what a difference it's made, and he continued to be a missionary.
Does that give you hope for me sometimes?
It does. I'm so thankful for him and his example and the hope it brings.
I have been a little bit selfish sometimes too, so.
We all can be a little selfish.
One of the things I say a lot, because if you're a long-time listener, you know that I've got a pet peeve, and that is I've got a couple pet peeves. But one of them is that I don't like when people use mission experiences in elders quorum. Maybe in singles ward for like the first 6 or 7 months, that's fine. But one of my isms is that if your last significant spiritual experience was from your mission, you've missed the point of being a missionary, and just the idea that you should continually having these spiritual experiences. But to kind of iterate on that, if your last significant missionary experience was on your mission, you've probably also missed the point. And in full disclosure, I think my last significant missionary experience was as a missionary. I can't see myself really being an active role in bringing someone to the gospel. I've planted seeds and I've done nice things. And
well, you know what I love about missionary work? Because sometimes it's easy to feel a little discouraged, like, I'm not even doing anything. I don't think I've brought anyone there, and I'm doing awesome missionary work. So you shouldn't really feel bad if you're doing what the Lord wants you to do and you're setting example and bearing testimony. Again, our role as members is to invite, come and see, just invite everyone to partake of the gospel, and whether they do or not, that's their choice. Whatever point of the harvest you're involved in, you should just be happy that you're there doing your part. So you shouldn't feel bad.
I feel better. Hopefully you guys feel better too.
Yeah, you
if
should.
you feel a little bit like me, like I feel like maybe it's because I think that sometimes the reapers get all the glory.
Mm-hmm. I've never been a reaper, ever.
But you are a sower.
I'm so great at sewing.
She's really good at sewing. You should check out our Halloween costumes.
Yeah,
she did a really good job. One of the things I love is that President Hinckley, as Chrissy talked about, he served a good mission, but
wonderful mission.
That was the launching pad for the rest of his life. And that's why I mean about a mission should not be the be-all, end-all of our definition of our spiritual experience, but that is the launching pad to the rest of our lives as being spiritual and being missionaries for the long haul. It says here that President Hinckley's mission set the course for a lifetime dedicated to the Lord's work. During his service as president of the church, he traveled more than 1 million miles to more than 70 countries to bear testimony of Jesus Christ and his restored gospel.
I mean, what a awesome thing to be able to bear testimony of our Savior Jesus Christ in that many places. I love reading these quotes because he's the prophet of my youth, one of my favorite prophets. after the current prophet, of course, who I love, President Monson. But you can just hear his voice and the enthusiasm. He says here, if we go forward, never losing sight of our goal, speaking no ill of no one, living the great principles we know to be true, this cause will roll on in majesty and power to fill the earth. Oh, such powerful words. Doors now closed, so the preaching the gospel will be open. And I love that. If we can see the big picture, if we can see that we are just having the chance to be instruments in Heavenly Father's, his big plan, if we could just be a little part, and if we can, just be positive and not speak ill about anyone, if we can just live the gospel and be true to what we believe, the work's going to go forward. If we love the gospel, if we love others, if we, are enthusiastic and passionate about what we believe in, it's just going to have opportunities to share the gospel, and things are going to go forward, and miracles are going to happen, and doors will be open. I just think what a wonderful and amazing, powerful promise that is, that we have an opportunity to be just instruments in Heavenly Father's hand just by being faithful. It goes on, the second part of the lesson talks about we reach out to the world, missionary service, and teaching those who will listen. And I love this great reminder. Again, sometimes I think if we get focused on missionary work and what do we got to do for missionary work and seeing it as like a big project, we can kind of lose sight of things. It says here, let us never act in a spirit of arrogance or with a holier than thou attitude. Rather, that we may show love and respect and helpfulness towards other. We are greatly misunderstood, and I fear that much of it is our own making. We can be more tolerant, more neighborly, more friendly, and more of an example of when we have ever been in the past. Let us teach our children to treat others with friendship, respect, love, and admiration. This will have better results. And I love that. We shouldn't act as if we have the truth, we have the gospel, we're better than other people, we're more spiritual than people. We should just be loving. We should just be humble. We should just share what we love and be tolerant and seek to get to know people, and not so that we can be missionaries and encourage them to come to church, but get to know people just because we love them. I mean, love is really the essence of missionary work, and if we can strive on really loving others, then we're going to be awesome missionaries. I love that. And let's not be arrogant. Let's not focus on those things. Let's just be tolerant and loving and friendly and kind and neighborly.
Yeah, one of my favorite quotes, in fact, at work, it's my email signature quote, because at work, for some reason, someone long ago decided we would all have quotes in our signatures.
It's very fancy.
Yeah, it's professional. But mine's by Theodore Roosevelt, which I love, which is, nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. I had a great mission companion. He did a teaching once in district meeting, and he talked about the city of Jericho and how there's these walls around the city, and that the Israelites had to march around the city for 7 days and do all these things. And, the city was delivered to them. The Lord promised they would have it, but there were walls up. And a lot of times people have their own walls up. They have preconceived notions about the church, or opinions, misunderstandings. And so, I love the quote that, you might be the only scriptures that someone might read, or something to that effect. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Look it up. It's good. Mm-hmm. But just the idea that, our lives can be an example of what the happiness that gospel can bring. I love right now we're getting ready to light the world. And it's a great time for us to share that light that's in our lives. Because this is a great time for us to share the gospel. People are more kind, more thinking about Christ more. Mm-hmm. And our missionaries need help. There's a video I just posted of these missionaries, and you guys have probably seen them, just videos that missionaries are making of missionaries doing goofy things. And this missionary, he's using a ceiling fan, and he's tapping out this beat to the ceiling fan. I shared it on social. I'll put it in the show notes for this episode. But my caption was basically, this is what happens when we don't give missionaries referrals. They make videos of them, beating on ceiling fans. President Hinckley even said, "My brethren and sisters, we cannot let the missionaries try and do it alone. I'm going to say that again. My brethren and sisters, we can let the missionaries try and do it alone, or we can help them. If they do it alone, they will knock on doors day after day, and the harvest will be meager. Or as members, we can assist them in finding and teaching investigators." I have found as a missionary, and even my old little missionary guidebook, it said, number 1 was baptismal services, 2 was recent converts, and 3 was member referrals. All those ones were the first ones of getting people that have friends that have seen the example of their lives and want to know more. That is the best place for a missionary to get their referral from.
Right. Talking about then full-time missionaries who can bring lasting happiness, which, by the way, can I just give a shout out to my missionaries, Elder McClendon and Elder Rigadale, the best missionaries in the world.
What about me?
Way better than you, honey. They are the most amazing. You work a missionary too. They are the
Thanks.
most amazing missionaries. Love it. And so good at inviting the Spirit. So amazing. I'm just so grateful for them. I love them to pieces. And it says here, we must raise the bar on worthiness and qualifications for those who go into the world as ambassadors of Lord Jesus Christ. Again, these are a chance for our missionaries to represent our Savior Jesus Christ. And I think about this with my own children, and I think I want them to be like Elder McClendon and Elder Rigadale. I want them to have knowledge. I want them to have the Spirit with them so they can bring others under Christ.
So when I was a missionary, I served with some really good missionaries, but there was a handful of them that would talk about their past transgressions in a way that was really cool, which wasn't really cool. And it just stood out to me is that it's one thing to be a missionary who's made mistakes in the past and to really understand the atonement. But it's totally another thing to kind of, clean up your act so you can get out on a mission, and hope that saves everything. So, I loved when Elder Ballard talked about us raising the bar for missionaries, that, we're preparing them young to be missionaries. President Hinckley even says, we ask that parents begin early to train their children for missionary service, where there is family prayer, where there are family home evenings, where there is scripture reading, where the father and the mother are active in the church and speak with enthusiasm concerning the church and the gospel. The children in such homes become imbued in a natural way with a desire to teach the gospel to others. There is usually a tradition of missionary work in such homes. Saving accounts are set up while children are small. Boys grow up with a natural expectation that they will be called to serve as missionaries for the church. And I like this one here because I've heard some talk about us not making missionaries sound as an expectation. And I like what President Hinckley says. A mission becomes as much of a part of a boy's program for life as is an education. I never hear anyone say, we shouldn't make people feel pressured to go to college. We just say, hey, if you want to be successful in life, go to college.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing, if you want to be successful in the gospel, go on a mission. There are a few things that will prepare you more for life and service in the kingdom than being a missionary, let alone all the lives that you'll touch and the people that you're going to bless. We talk about the mission all the time with our sons, and it's not pressure. It's not, I won't love you if you don't serve a mission or you won't get a car. It's, I'm excited for you guys to go on a mission one day. These are the kind of food you're going to eat when you're a missionary someday.
This is going to be a hard thing when you're missionary, and share this, and people aren't going to want to listen. Like examples in the scriptures, we can pull that out. Some people aren't going to want to listen, or they aren't going to want to make changes. That's going to be a hard thing as a missionary to have to deal with.
Yeah, it even talks about sisters and how to help them. With our daughter who's 4,
she wants to be a missionary.
And she wants to be a missionary, but it was one of those things where we asked her, what do you think? Do you want to go on a mission? She's like, yeah, she wants to go because that's just been part of the culture of our home. And so now we'd say things to encourage her in that decision. Yeah. If she chooses not to serve a mission, that's okay. For totally sisters, it's not required. Yeah. It's not expected of them. But if she wants to go.
Today, one of our sons was like, I just think the girls are really lucky they don't have to go on a mission, And I just explained to him, I said, the Lord has different plans for everyone. And sisters can listen to the Spirit and do what they think is best. And you've been given the priesthood and that responsibility that you need to exercise the priesthood and teach and baptize and do the Savior's asked you to do. And so, that's part of your responsibility, getting the priesthood. And our daughter can choose whether she wants to or not. That's her choice. And the Spirit is there to help her.
Mm-hmm. And if she chooses that she wants to go, then we're going to say, awesome. You'll be great. She'll be so awesome.
She's so good.
But our sons will be really good too. They'll be excellent missionaries. They've got such great testimonies even now. And Christy does such a great job sharing on her blog post of things that she does as a mom to help the kids have faith, about family nights that she has. So check out her blog, ourcrazyadventure.com. I'll put links to it in the show notes. But now it kind of comes to you and I now. We've kind of grown out of the phase of serving a mission as a young adult. We talked about helping kids, but now here's where I am. I need to be a missionary now. I need to help to share the gospel, and it's hard. For me, it's hard for me to always talk about the gospel and look for opportunities and be ready for those. But President Hinckley promises that as we do so, the Lord will bless our efforts. Let us do our part in sharing the gospel with those around us, by example first, and then by inspired precept. One of the things that I love, and I'm sure if you've had the missionaries over for dinner, something that they've shared with you is from Elder Anderson's talk, It's a Miracle. It's when he gives that apostolic promise to those who really want to share the gospel. I'm going to bring it up because I want to make sure I quote it, because he does a good job of just explaining, it reminds me of Doctrine and Covenants. If you have desires, you're called to work. If you have desires, these are some things that you can do to be blessed. Let's see here. Here it is. He says, I promise you, as you pray to know with whom to speak, names and faces will come to your mind. Words to speak will be given in the very moment you need them. Opportunities will open to you. Faith will overcome doubt, and the Lord will bless you with your very own miracles. For me, I think it's what's so important is that, I don't think just wanting to be a missionary is enough. Or hoping to be a better missionary is enough. We've got to be active in that. We've got to be able to pray to the Lord and tell him that we're willing, that we're trying, and that he can trust us.
And believe it. And then when those things happen, that we need to act on them. That's a big part of the faith, is showing our faith by acting.
Yeah, and a lot of times we think about grand gestures of we need to have a program and we need to invite 5 people over for dinner this month, and those are great if you're trying to be a good neighbor and trying to make new friends. Mm-hmm. But really, if you want to be a good missionary, what you want to do is have a desire to serve, and keep asking the Lord to put people in your path, and have the faith and the courage to act. And I think that's the grand key is that sincere desire to help other people and look for people that are in need.
And seeking the Spirit. I think it's one of the most important things too, as we teach our children. That's how you're an amazing missionary, as you follow the Spirit. Whether the Spirit tells you to go to this door, or the Spirit tells you to bear testimony, or the Spirit is what invites the opportunity for people to receive that witness that Jesus is the Christ. And that's what we're doing as missionaries, is we're letting others come into Christ, and we're inviting them to learn and share and understand and learn.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, testimony is one of the greatest things that we can share to bring the Spirit. I'm going to share a mission story because it's the podcast, not in class. But one of the experiences that always stood out to me when it came to the power of bearing a pure testimony, I was with a companion, and it was one of those ones where it was a member referral, but not really a member referral. They're like, hey, go track into my friend from work, which are bad referrals to the missionaries. Don't give those. Make an introduction at least. And so we went, knocked on the door. Oh, we didn't know you lived here, guy that we know the name of already. And he let us in, and it just became a big argument. I served this was in Arkansas, just Bible Belt, he was arguing with my companion. They were yelling back and forth for I feel like it was 45 minutes. And I was only on the mission for 3 weeks at that point. I'm like, what is happening? I don't want to be here. And then all of a sudden he looks at me and goes, what do you think about this prophet? And I got to bear testimony to Gordon B. Hinckley and how I felt about him being a prophet of God, and how I knew it. I knew that the Spirit had spoken to me, and that as I listened to him, I can feel that he was a prophet of God. And at that moment, I felt the Spirit. And I could tell that he felt the Spirit because he stopped. He wasn't argumentative. His brow was no longer furrowed. He understood. I don't think he was convinced or anything at that point yet, but his heart was softened. Mm-hmm. So my companion...
And that's what the Spirit can do, is it can bring that and invite that into people's lives.
Yeah, so my companion saw that as a great opportunity to say, and that's why you need to read the Book of Mormon. And then we argued for another 45 minutes. So make sure that you're doing this in love, that you are trying to help and not trying to prove someone right. And if you do those things, you'll be successful in your missionary efforts. You might only be a sower of seeds, but we need sowers.
We do need sowers.
And maybe one day you'll even be blessed to see the harvest. But even if you don't see it in this life, I'm sure those people that you are setting an example for, people that you're meeting, when they become part of that harvest, you'll see them again, and they'll remember you, and they'll thank you for it.
Mm-hmm. And more importantly, the Lord knows. The Lord knows that you're doing, what you're supposed to do. You're following promptings. You're someone he can count on, and Nothing more important than that.
Yeah. So, honey, what are some important things that are happening over in your blog that someone should check out?
Well, I just posted my monthly dinner menu, which is always exciting because we love family dinners. And then tomorrow I am doing a Thankful Thursday post for the month of November, and I am talking about veterans. And I will have cards available that you can print out cards and give them to veterans in your neighborhood, or you can visit some veterans at a assisted living place. And so that should be a really great service opportunity and a really good way to teach our children the importance of recognizing those who serve our country.
Yeah.
It's a favorite of our families to go visit veterans.
Especially like, you brought your Cub Scouts to an assisted living facility.
We're going again. I'm going to invite them, send out the email tonight, the other parents and families to come, and they love getting visitors, especially young visitors. And it's a great opportunity to connect the younger generation with olders. And again, I was telling the boys, I'm like, what do you think, if you could give them anything, what would they want? And I got those cards. Like, they do like the cards that we're making them. I bet you they know that. And one of our boys, he got it. He said they want to be remembered. I said, that's exactly it. They just want to be remembered and to have that gratitude given, Mm-hmm. And so that's a great thing that we can do as parents and as members of our community, is just remember them and honor them. And that should be up tomorrow.
Yep, and we'll have links to that over in the show notes. And then our blog, we've got all kinds of fun stuff going on. A lot of podcast episodes. We're trying to get everything done for the end of the year for you guys so that you've got a choice. Because there's 25 lessons in the manual, and if for some reason you were able to have every single lesson, on the second and third Sundays, you'd still have one lesson you couldn't have. But truth be told, you probably had a state conference, a ward conference, some teacher that went rogue and taught from his own thoughts, and so you're not going to finish this manual. Sorry. So talk as a presidency. Talk about what your quorum needs or your class needs, your group needs, and start choosing. We're going to have the next episodes out pretty quickly for you, so you can start making some choices and say, you know what, maybe we need to skip this lesson, but we're going to have the next lesson. And that one's, whatever you feel the Spirit guides you to do, we'll support you. Thanks a lot, guys. And until next time, we bid you all a fond adieu. So I hope you guys liked that episode. If you want, you can find more episodes of the podcast right over here. You can also find stuff over here of some recent videos and some of our most popular ones. And then also right here, you can find out how you can subscribe to get updates of when the next videos are available. We'll have more podcast episodes. We'll be talking about how to be a better teacher. We'll have some movie reviews on here, even some commentaries of things that we think are important to us, and hopefully they'll be important to you.